Good morning, everybody. It's Mandy Martin here again with Dark County Parks. And today I'm actually coming to you from my kitchen because it's so windy outside and it was ruining our video. So I wanted to do this video outside, but the wind wasn't cooperating. So here we are stuck inside. Today we are going to explore rocks. Do a short little science experiment in which you will be able to do this at home. It's relatively simple. You will want an adult supervision for this because it does include a little bit of fire or heat, I should say, just a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and start with a rock science experiment in which we're going to use candy to illustrate the different types of rocks and how they're formed. But today we're gonna go ahead and do the experiment with what I have here at home, which is some leftover Easter candy. Okay, so there are three different types of rocks found on Earth. They are sedimentary, igneous, and metamorphic. And the first one that we're going to do are sedimentary rocks. So what I'm gonna do first is just pick kind of a handful of jelly beans out of the container. I'll get several different colors, and we're gonna go ahead and make sedimentary rock. So I've picked about, I don't know, 8 or so jelly beans, pretty good variety of colors. Take that orange one out. And what you do for this one illustrating sedimentary rock is just very simply layers. So I'm gonna take these rocks and I'm gonna layer them together, kind of like how they would layer themselves in a lake or a river or an ocean and fall to the bottom over time, except for I'm gonna do this with my hands. Okay, so here we have our sedimentary layers, and you can see them all stacked up there. You just can take your hands and layer them up. That works really great, and it's pretty easy for little ones to do. The next step is to take the sedimentary rock and we're going to turn it into metamorphic rock. So metamorphic rock is a rock that's been changed. So it's been changed by 3 factors. The first factor is heat, and the second factor is pressure, and of course the third factor is time. And you know, when we talk about time, geologic time, it's not, you know, hours or days, it's many years. So the next step that I would do, especially with the kids here for metamorphic, is have them rub their hands together and create heat. And then we're going to use a book. So the book is illustrating pressure. So I'm gonna rub my hands together and create heat, and then we're gonna press the sedimentary rock underneath this book. So I use wax paper and fold it in half and then press. All right, so we have the metamorphic rock here, and this time it's a sedimentary rock that's been changed. And when you learn of the word metamorphic, you know that it means to change. So both sedimentary and igneous rocks can change into metamorphic rocks. Both require time, heat, and pressure. The next thing we're going to do is change this into an igneous rock. Now, igneous means fire, or to ignite. All right, so for the third type of rock, we're going to make an igneous rock. So we're going to take our once sedimentary, now metamorphic rock that's been changed by heat and pressure. And I made just a little bowl here out of foil, so it's pretty simple to do that. And I have a little candle there, and I'm going to go ahead and place the rock in the foil and hold it over to the candle, and we'll get this going, get this melted like an igneous rock, and I'll show you the final product here in just a few seconds. We have completed the metamorphic, sedimentary, and now the igneous. And the igneous is the one that we lit underneath, or that we held over the fire. It's a rock that has been formed by fire. So whether it be magma below ground or lava above ground, this is an igneous rock from our jelly beans. So what I do is just use a knife and scoop it out of the aluminum and then put it onto a piece of wax paper to dry, or to cool, I should say. And then when it's cool, you can go ahead and scoop it off. This one's not quite cool yet, still kind of a jelly-like consistency. Another thing you can do is use Starburst. Just make sure you use the mini Starburst, because the big ones you have to cut up and it takes hours to cut them up. And I know that from experience. Okay, so I have a couple samples of each of the types of rocks that we explored today, starting with our science experiment. And we're just gonna take a few seconds to look at each sample. The first one is the sedimentary rocks. These are the ones that we most likely find fossils in. So I have a fossil rock here, and then I have, which is limestone, and then I have a really nice example of a conglomerate rock, which is a whole bunch of smaller rocks that have all been cemented together over time. So there's limestone and a conglomerate there. All right, the next type of rock samples that we're going to look at are metamorphic rock, which are some of my favorite rocks. They are typically harder to find on Earth. The process by which it takes to create a metamorphic rock is pretty much mind-blowing to me. So when you find them, they're treasures, and I have a couple here. Well, I'll show you my treasured one last, but here is marble, which is metamorphic limestone. So it was once limestone, applied heat and pressure, and it changed into marble, which is what the Washington Monument is made of. And then I have a really nice piece of slate that has a little bit of red jasper in it. I'm not sure if you can see that. I got this rock from Mike Manning. He owns the rock shop there over in Troy. And then here is a piece of gneiss, and it's spelled Gneiss, and that is metamorphic granite. So those three examples are metamorphic, and this is one of my favorite rocks. It's a piece of quartzite that I found up there at a geology workshop. So this is one of my favorite rocks, and who knows how many years it had been in Lake Erie before I was lucky enough to find that. So that's metamorphic. Let's go ahead and look at a couple samples of igneous rock. Okay, so the last type of rock that we're going to look at are igneous rocks. Those are rocks that are formed by fire. And I have a piece of basalt here and a piece of obsidian. These are both igneous rocks. This one obviously with the air bubbles in it, the pockets of circles. We know that this was boiling at one point and the bubbles popped, and when it cooled, then you have basalt. And then obsidian, and this is an igneous rock that cooled very quickly, which is why it's so shiny. All right, so those are the three samples of three different types of rocks and the samples of each. Okay, thanks everyone for joining me today and exploring a little bit more about rocks. And I wanted to share with you one of my favorite stories that kids love and adults love just as well. It's called If You Find a Rock, written by Peggy Christian. The photographs and the illustrations are just beautiful, and I hope you get a chance to read this if you haven't done so already. We'll see you soon. Thanks.